I'm Natalie Hepner. Thanks for joining us. An update tonight on the breaking news we brought you last night. Officials have confirmed that 2 people died in the house explosion in Hermantown. 8 people in nearby units are without a home tonight. It happened off of Levake Road in Hermantown at the Green Acre Townhomes. The call for the explosion came in around 6:30 last night. Now here's a look at the fiery aftermath of that explosion. Officials say the explosion blew the roof off of that residence that had 6 different units in them. Residents near the scene told us it sounded like a bomb going off. And this afternoon, Hermantown officials held a press conference sharing more details. Reporting of the explosion came in around 6:20 Saturday night. Officials said the sound and boom of the explosion were so significant that it was heard as far as 12 miles away. Hermantown police were on scene within 3 minutes and began trying to evacuate the homes. 2 residents were unaccounted for during the search, now pronounced dead from the explosion. The 2 women who died are 89-year-old Gail Nelson and 88-year-old Joan Wisniewski. Both were residents of Hermantown. Crews worked for a few hours to contain the explosion and fire. Officials said there were no other injuries for residents or first responders. Police Chief Jim Crace shared how chaotic the response was yesterday and the work they did to make sure all the residents were accounted for.
We had cops rushing in to a newly exploded building trying to evacuate folks. Not knowing if there was going to be secondary explosions or not. They put their lives on the line to try to save people.
Officials say the investigation into the cause could take days or weeks. In the meantime, the Red Cross is helping displaced residents find temporary housing.